There it is.
There it is.
Woo.
There it is.
Greetings, brother.
Greetings. Great day to you, brother.
Likewise, man. Thank you
Uh,
for having me on this platform, man.
It's an honor. It's an honor, man. It's awesome to collaborate with you and just to celebrate with you, just to, enjoy this time together. We haven't done a live with each other before,
Right.
but brother, do just family and friends, they all call you Bliss?
Yeah.
How long has it been since you've been going by that name? It's a unique name, brother. Very unique name.
Can you hear me?
I can hear
Yeah.
you now. You're back. You're back
Since
now.
2019, actually.
20.
It funny thing with Bliss, that actually started as an affirmation, man. I was saying it for about 2 years, and then I got this job at a hotel in Williamsburg, actually, because I was living in New York at the time.
Okay.
And it was the first space in which they asked me what I wanted to be called, and naturally, like Bliss just came up. You know, that was the first time like I started going by Bliss. So yeah,
Dope.
it's
That's awesome,
continue.
man. One of my good friends told me, Bliss, he said, it's not what people call you, it's what you respond to. You know?
Mm,
It's what you
yeah, that's true, man. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like that. Shout out to your friend for that one, man.
So you said it started as an affirmation. So you
Yes.
said that so you were called something different before, but then this name came in. How do you feel it just came in to you?
So I think it was just, a process of the journey. I had gotten into using affirmations,
Mhm.
and I just love the word bliss, man. And I started saying I am bliss every single day. And eventually I'm a poet. So that led me to signing off all of my poems as bliss.
Mm.
And at the time it was an acronym. And yeah, I just continued doing that, and little by little, I feel like I really started to embody it. I really started to become bliss. But it wasn't until that moment when someone asked me what I wanted to be called that it kind of shifted. My given name is Travis. And I like to say Trav is bliss now.
Ah,
That's how it
Travis.
yeah, Trav is bliss. Exactly.
Travis Bliss. Awesome, man. It's awesome because there's so much power in words. The words
Mm,
that we speak, our language, just the vibrancy, the frequency that is ringing, that is singing, and
yes.
just to see the things our words are bringing to us when we put that energy out to see what comes back. It's
Yes.
it's definitely a revelation and a huge realization when we come to understand the sound
Mm,
vibration, of words, these
hmm.
words.
Yes.
And I love this because you said that you started saying affirmations, and on your bio it says you're an affirmationist.
Yes.
You're an affirmationist. This is the
Yes.
first time I've ever heard somebody call them. I love that. I love
Thank you.
that.
Thank
So
you.
where did that come in for you to be, what you're like, this is who I am. Like just
Hmm.
even those three words, those three letters, I am, that's powerful. But for
Powerful.
you to say like I am an affirmationist, this is what I
Yeah.
do, like this is
Yeah.
who I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
When did
Yeah.
that come?
Wow, man. That thank you for asking this question. So it all started with hip hop, man.
Mhm.
It all started with hip hop, and my love for lyrics and rhyming, and I actually started to get into writing lyrics.
Mhm.
And for a long time I wanted to be the world's greatest rapper. That was an intention of mine. And along the way, I realized that through poetry, I was able to express different parts of myself. So I started to get more into poetry. And then the poetry eventually led me to writing affirmations. However, I still keep that rapper in me, so I only write affirmations as rhymes, and I call them bliss
Mhm.
formations. And I have a whole page dedicated to that, so you can check that out as bliss formation,
Yeah.
bliss formation.
Yeah.
And yeah, and along the way, that was in 2020 that I started that. Yeah, I started Bliss Formation, and I've been posting them every day, or nearly every day since, man, and just continuing to create new affirmations that I know are very powerful,
Hmm.
especially as a rhyme because they sink into the subconscious more. We're able to remember them better.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so another part of that too, what really led me to even like started sharing it with others
Hmm.
was I was already creating affirmations, and a friend reached out to me and asked me if I would create an affirmation for her.
Hmm.
And this was the first time like someone had ever asked me that, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So we hopped on a call together, and she was just telling me like everything she was experiencing and what she wanted to experience. And I was just there taking notes on my phone, like, okay,
Hmm.
okay, I see, I hear you. And after the call, I sat there, had my intentions, and worked on changing everything that she had told me into a positive affirmation that she could go forward with, which was in alignment with her intentions.
Hmm.
And she loved it, and I felt so fulfilled in doing that. And then a couple days later, I remember reaching out to a dear friend of mine, like, yo, do you think people would receive it as a service for me to create affirmations for them? She
Hmm.
was like, hell yeah. I was like, say less. So ever since then, man, that was in 2020. And then by November 2020, that's when I officially launched Bliss Formation. And it's just been a journey since, man, creating hundreds of bliss formations, and then personalized bliss formations, which is the service that I offer. That's the one-on-ones where I create an affirmation based on a few questions that I ask you. So the format is a lot different now.
Hmm.
At first, it was just like I was listening and writing, but now I have specific questions
Hmm.
that really get to the core of what one is
Hmm.
looking to bring out of themselves. Because we all know what we want, but until the right questions are asked, sometimes it's kind of difficult to vocalize it. So that's where I come in, and I help shift it. And a lot of times it will come out as a statement that's not necessarily in the affirmative sense,
Hmm.
but that's what I help to do. So, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful,
Thank you.
brother. What a service,
Thank you,
just
brother.
to be in your purpose. You
Mm,
know, I love this. I love this. And just
yeah.
to let
Thank you.
people know they deserve
Right.
it,
Right.
to
Right.
let them know that they're worth it.
Yes.
You know, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, man, what does the acronym for Bliss, what does it stand for? We have a question Eva is wondering, she
Oh,
wanted to ask as well.
oh, I love that. I love that. It's balance, love, intelligence, sovereignty, and success. Or
Balance,
success, sovereignty. Yeah.
balance, love,
Intelligence.
integrity,
And
intelligence.
so it was interchangeable. Actually, I love that you said integrity because it was
Okay.
interchangeable. Yeah. Balance,
Yeah.
love, intelligence, or integrity, success, and sovereignty.
Sovereignty. Okay.
Yeah, those are my intentions at the time, and like that's
Beautiful.
still there.
Beautiful. So, oh my gosh, man, there's just so many things that we can, so many paths that we can go down. But when
Mm,
it comes to affirmations, they've definitely been a godsend in my life. I don't know where I would be. I don't know where my heart would be. I
right.
don't know where my circumstances would be. I don't know where my mind would be, where my psyche, my psychology, like even my philosophy, the way that I see the world,
Yes.
the perspective, my perception, to have that directive within the collective, all of
Woo.
this
Come on.
changed due to the words that I started
Yes.
speaking. You know, they say
Yes.
that some people say we are hung by the tongue. You've heard that, right?
Oh yeah.
We
Oh
are
yeah.
hung by the tongue, and
And
then other people say
words create worlds.
words create
Hmm.
worlds. Exactly. And so it's like the words that we speak become the house that we live in,
Yes.
in so many more
Yes.
ways than one.
Yes.
So who was, before Bliss, when you were going by Travis,
Hmm.
who was Travis, before 2019? Like, where was your life before 2019? Where was your mind space? Where was your heart space? Like, where were you before that time?
Yeah. I would say it even goes back a little further than 2019 because prior to Bliss, I was actually going by Quanoon, and that was the first name I actually chose for myself.
Okay.
Um, it was, through some things I was learning just about the meaning of Travis. Actually, I started to dig into like what does Travis actually mean, and then I come to learn that it meant from the crossroads or a toll person. which it makes so much sense in my life. I feel like I've always been that person there, and like so many different people from all walks of life
Mhm.
come across my path, and I'm also able to navigate so many different realms, so to speak, you know. And I've lived so many lives in this one lifetime. So Kwanun was actually a combination of Kwame, which is
Mhm.
Ghanaian for born on a Saturday, and Noon, which is the ancient Egyptian principle of creation. So
Mhm.
it was, for me, it was Saturday's creation, or creator born on a Saturday. That's how I kind of looked at it. And that was my intention to go as like Kwanun around that time. And that was in 20, maybe 16 that was birthed. And 2017, where that's the only thing I was going
Mhm.
by. Like anyone who met me, I was Kwanun up until 2019. But Travis, oh man, Trav, completely different person, but yet the same being. You know, it was always within me.
Mhm.
Um, man, so I was living in New York City. You know, I've lived in New York City for 13 years prior to moving here to Key West 3 years
Mhm.
ago. And before that, I was in Pennsylvania. Before that, I was in Jamaica, the island.
Okay.
And even before that, I was in New York once more, like in the Bronx. I was born in the Bronx, and when I was 10, my parents retired, moved back home to Jamaica. So that's how
Wow.
that whole journey happened. And I was living there for 8 years.
Whoa. So
And
Jamaica,
yeah,
Jamaica is
yeah,
home.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. That's where I really grew
oh,
up, you know, 10 to 18, pretty much.
I'm part
Yeah.
Jamaican. I'm part Jamaican as
See,
well.
I love
You
that.
speak patois.
Yeah, man.
Oh my
It's like, yeah,
God.
it's like a switch, you know. When I'm ready, it just, wah, you know? Yeah, it's like a switch, man.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful. So yes, continue. Continue.
yeah. And so New York for that 13-year period, it was interesting, man. You know, college, the parties in there.
Mhm.
Um, and I was going to a lot of reggae parties, you know, like dancing with a whole crew, you know, partying all the time, man.
Dance
That
hall.
was like, that was, yeah, you know, and that was a life for a while. And then it got more into like clubs. I was like in the heart of Manhattan, you know, going to parties in like the Meatpacking District, if anyone knows where that is, and like all that happens there, you know, got into that, the nightlife, like every day of the week, you know, and I was just in that life, you know, and there were a couple of moments within it where I realized like, all right, I really shouldn't be doing this anymore. Like one was when it started to seem really fake to me was
Mhm.
I was at this one club, or we were at the door, and I was there with a former lover of mine, and then another friend who I went to college with. And this friend who I went to college with, I hadn't seen in a while. So she came, and we're all, you know, getting ready to like go into this place. And then the bouncer at the door just gives this look like down and up, and then just shakes his head at her. And I felt a part of me like just crushing that moment. I was like, whoa, like what was that? You know, because I had never experienced it going into any of these places, but there's this whole thing with like how tall you are, your physique, like all this, like it was very like surface, you know, and it had to be a certain look. But then when you get inside, it was just so plastic too. You know, people are just like standing behind these tables, not really dancing. It's like, well, what's going on? And then the bottle comes out. It's like, yay! And then it's like, okay, again, and you know, and so I started to distance myself from that moment, and then also just a moment of also like looking around one day, like this person's in here making money, that person's in here like making money from this experience, and I'm in here, I'm really here because I'm getting it for free.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, like enough of this. And I started to really just distance myself and spend more time with me. And I started to realize like a lot of those relationships weren't even very deep, you know.
Mhm.
So pretty much from that point until about
Mhm.
2019. So this was, man, it all seems like a blur now.
I know,
All
right?
right, well, yeah, that was around like 2015, 2016 when I really started to like back off. 2017 was when I had gotten out of a 4-year relationship that I was in, like my former lover. You know, her and I separated at that time.
Mhm.
And I feel like at the beginning of 2017 is when I had like one of the hugest growth spurts, like spiritually for myself. You know, so January we separated, and by May, I was like in Costa Rica, never planning to come back to the US again. So that was the whole experience, you know, and yeah. So all of that led to like really me being here right now, just the distancing of myself and going through quite a while of like isolation
Mm-hmm.
and really not having many people I could talk to about different things. But it was in 2019 where that started to shift
Mm-hmm.
and I started to meet people who were like speaking my language and they could understand my language, like finally, and that started to happen and I started to come out and like really share my words, my voice more, and then more people started to come in. And 2020 was actually when it really took off for me.
Okay.
Like that's when I really started to like connect there. I know it was one of the most inward periods, but that was when I was like the most outside,
Mm-hmm.
figuratively and
Mm-hmm.
literally. So it was beautiful, man. So yeah, the bliss now, is just a culmination of all that, all those experiences, especially going to Costa Rica and really just finding myself again, I would
Absolutely.
say.
Absolutely. Man,
Hmm.
there's so much inspiration that can come in isolation, you know?
Yes.
Like when we're just with ourselves, like finding solace in your own silence, in your own
Mm,
solitude, to
mm.
really come into an inner standing, just a totally, just to understand who you are at your core and to explore even more, to really go
Yeah.
inside to see what lies in store for
Yes.
you. And the same thing happened to me, when I was in Costa Rica. That was a marvelous time. Like I was in San Juan, and then I went to, hold on, no, San Jose. What is it
Hmm.
called? Is it San Jose?
San Jose.
San Jose. And then from there, Puerto Viejo.
Whoa.
We went to Puerto Viejo. I stayed some time there next to La Playa Negra. I
Yeah.
was next to the beach. So I was in a hostel there for a while
Yeah.
in Puerto Viejo. And then one of my friends brought me to the Guanacaste region
Okay.
where I was with this gentleman named Lauren Lockman. He has a water fasting facility on
Mm.
that part of Costa Rica. So
Okay.
I was over there for a while, and
Yeah.
then we left there and kept traveling. So man, Costa Rica, that was like, pura vida,
Yeah,
pura vida,
brother, we had a very similar journey. Pura vida indeed. We had a very similar journey because I started in San Jose,
Okay.
eventually found my way over in Puerto Viejo.
Yes.
And man, it was so beautiful over there. Like just one thing I found out there,
Hmm.
I had no idea before, was the Jamaican ancestry. How that much that's tied into that part of Costa
Mm,
Rica. Because while the Panama Canal was being built, a lot of Jamaicans came over and they settled in an area called Limon. So
mm,
Limon is like huge Jamaican population.
mm.
And it's so interesting because before then I didn't know that Jamaica was the first island in the Caribbean off the coast of Costa Rica.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so I'm
It's
walking
right
down the
there.
street and someone was yeah, he's like, and someone was like, "Yo, Rasta," and it I was like, "What?" Was not expecting it. And yeah, that over there definitely felt like more home than anywhere. And then from there, I eventually found myself in Perez Celedon area,
Mm,
and then from there, over towards like Dominical,
yeah,
Platanillo,
yeah,
area, and that's yeah, but it's moving around, man.
sure.
Backpack in a tent, man.
Oh,
Like, it was
man, just
beautiful.
living
And
on the
hostels
land.
too. Yeah,
Yeah. Living on the land, brother.
yeah.
What made you not want to come back, and then what
Mhm.
eventually made you come back?
Yeah, well, yeah. I was inspired to go to Costa Rica, just based on this movement that was happening at the
Mm,
time. And I I made up my mind within a month. I was like, okay, I'm moving there. I want to go there because I was over just the air, the water, the food, the whole political scene, just like over a lot of things that was going on in the fake matrix and how it's set up. And
mm,
I was in a very rebellious state at that time too. So it was more like I was running from rather than towards something,
right.
but also I knew that this was what I was supposed to be doing. So I dropped everything, like everything. And I was like, Costa Rica, I'm not coming back. And I was over there, man, and came across some of the most beautiful beings ever, man, just like traveling. There was only one person I was in contact with for about 2 weeks before
Mm,
going over there. and that's who I met in Puerto Viejo.
Okay.
So yeah, San Jose, then Puerto Viejo, and the
Mm-hmm.
first month in Puerto Viejo was pretty much in a
Mm-hmm.
tent on the beach, man.
Wow.
And whoa, it was so beautiful. It was like closer to Tamarillo, I think. It's
Okay. Okay.
Tamalca? I forget the name of that, but it begins with a T. But it's
Mm-hmm.
close to like Puerto Viejo area, and it's like all the way up at the top.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Playa Negra I passed through there as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and while I was there, I just had this opening and a resurgence of my inner child. It like came out again. I was doing so many things that I actually did in Jamaica as a
Okay.
child, and it was so beautiful, man. And to really have that level of trust for nature,
Mm-hmm.
the universe, myself, it was a beautiful thing, and it really helped me to grow and learn a lot about myself,
And
my strength, and at the end of that journey, which is another side of this experience, like I actually got deported from Costa Rica
what?
for overstaying my time there.
Oh
I was
wow.
over by like three
Oh wow.
months. Um, I had a few friends, they were like doing the whole border hopping thing, like going to Panama or
Right.
Nicaragua, like 72 hours and then coming back. And I was just
Right.
like, I don't
Yeah.
feel like doing that. And at the time, my rebellious nature was like, I don't believe in these borders. Like, I'm not playing that game. So I was just like, I'm staying here.
Mm-hmm.
So I was having fun too, and we was really enjoying the experience. And the first time I was stopped, I was let off. It was like, all right, it's like close to the date, but you have like a little leeway
Mm-hmm.
time period. And then actually, a friend who I was traveling with, she was over too, like at the
Mm-hmm.
time, and we were both coming back to Puerto Viejo because I was telling her she had never been on that side. She was only in like the Jaco area,
Mm-hmm.
and I was telling her like how cool it was, and I was like, I met someone over there, and he was saying that he has a boat, and he often like goes fishing, and then sometimes goes to Jamaica, and I was like, maybe we could even like end up in Jamaica somehow. So we were going to experience that, and then
Mm-hmm.
that's when we were stopped again.
Dang.
And both of us being over, it just ended up where we were deported,
Okay.
man. And
Okay.
it was an interesting experience because I was actually in immigration, and yeah, the center for 42 days, man.
Wow.
It was,
Wait. Whoa. Hold on. You were in the immigration center for 42 days?
yeah, pretty much jail. Yeah.
What
Yeah,
was
man.
that like? What was that like?
That was a journey in itself, man. Very, very much a time when I realized like my true strength and my ability to not let my surroundings really throw me off center. I stayed in my practices. It was pretty much a big room full of bunk beds, and then there's like an outside area with an opening right here, and there's a sink over here. Like most people like wash their clothes and clean like plates, cups there. And then there's a fence right here. And then on the other side, so on this side where I was, it was mostly people who were dealing with stuff just like immigration purposes, like overstaying or whatever. And on this side were like criminals being deported like back to their native countries.
You were right
And
there. You were right next to the
yeah,
criminal.
like it's like a little fence, and like I had some interesting conversations with like people on the other side too. And this is all like in Spanish at the time. It was like just fluent, and also just energy, body language, all that. So if I could understand like 30% of what you were saying through words, like the rest of it, like I'm just like, I see you, I hear you. So I had some interesting interactions, man, and yeah, I read the most novels I've read like in there. Stayed in my practices, man, like breath work, meditation. I was getting up early in the rising, just continuing to do my thing, and
Yeah.
that's what really kept me in center, through that journey.
42 days, brother.
Yeah.
42 days. So you said you were pretty much, I mean, it was basically, they were holding you. Like they were just
Hmm.
holding you in there.
Hmm.
You said you were right next to the criminals on the other side of the fence, but I mean, y'all were all in there together.
Oh, yeah, pretty much. There
Everybody's
was
in
really no
there.
separation.
There was no separation really,
Yeah.
So what was one of the most interesting interactions that you had with
Mm.
somebody inside, like, maybe on the other side of the fence? What was a
Mm-hmm.
memorable interaction? Yeah.
Yeah. this is the one I always share most often because it was one of the most heartfelt conversations,
Mm.
even though there was like pretty much a dark side attached to it. So the guy on the other side, he was actually a Cicado, and
What?
that is a like it's pretty much a hitman for like Colombian, cartel kind of thing.
Okay.
And we were just having a conversation. I was asking him like, why was he over there? And we were talking about our journeys, and he was telling me about his lifestyle. Like,
Mm.
this is what he did, and he showed me this tattoo he had on his forearm, and it was an angel of death.
Mm.
And said that every time like he went out to do a job, like he would read this prayer, and that would be his protection. And we were continuing to talk, man. And he was just like, I don't want to be in this life anymore. It's like it was so hard for him, but he was trying to escape it, and then he was getting sent right back into it. You
Mm.
know, so that was, yeah, that one right there was just forever imprinted in my mind, just because of within that being, though he had committed so many dark acts,
Mm.
you know, I could still see the light in his eyes, like coming through, and just like this yearning for something different, but not knowing how to change it necessarily.
Yeah. What do you
Hmm.
feel, Bliss? What do you feel is like, I love how you say you could still see that humanness, like you could still look into his eyes and see the light
Hmm.
within the darkness. Like even
Hmm.
though there was darkness, you could still see the light. What do you feel like is that thing, within every one of us that, no matter what we do in life, no matter how many atrocities or, circumstances or situations that are just horribly negative or just whatever somebody might perceive as the worst thing a human being could do, that there's something within us that just never leaves us. What is
Hmm.
that thing?
I would say it's our true essence, that part of us that is truly untouched.
Mm-hmm.
When we're here in the physical, this is really just an experiencing. We're witnessing things that are happening through this physical body,
Mm-hmm.
but truly, we're not here. We're just using this avatar to experience this world, have the interactions, but it's really just the untouchable, ineffable, really like part of ourselves that is pure and connected to source. Yeah.
Wow. The
Hmm.
untouchable and ineffable. The
Yeah.
ineffable. the
Yeah.
the the uneffwittable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like you can't really touch it. That's why it's always there. It's
Yeah.
but the layers of this physical reality can like cloud it, at times. And
Right.
for those of us who know it's there, man, and are able to like see beyond, it's so beautiful. And I think that was one of those moments for me when I truly realized that, because before that, I think I would have judged him and his lifestyle and everything that he did. But at that moment, there was no judgment there. It was just like there was a stillness, and I felt our connection. I felt our oneness, really.
Mm.
It's just another aspect of God, the universe, creator, source. I like to say supreme infinite source, and that's also an acronym. And I just say like big sis, you know. So yeah, just another aspect playing out, and I got to witness that and to accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Oh, Big Sis, Supreme Infinite
mm.
Source,
Yes, yes.
Supreme. Shout out to Big
Shout out to
Sis,
big sis. That's why.
the Supreme Infinite Source. Of
Ashay.
course,
Of
you
course.
know we
I want to
we
say I
work.
love how you rhyme, man. It's beautiful. You're truly a wizard, and you're very intentional with your words. I truly appreciate this. You remind me of a good brother of mine, Ra. He's very intentional with his words too, and often we go back and forth with rhymes and just creating different things on the spot.
Awesome,
Mm. Words of
awesome.
affirmation, essentially.
I received that. I received
Mm.
that. Thank you for that feedback. I need
Yes,
that.
yes,
Thank you.
yes, yes.
So, wow, brother, when you're talking about the true essence,
Hmm.
because you're saying like at everyone's core, it's like we think that we're this physical thing, like we think we're this flesh and this bone, but we
Right.
don't realize our true home.
Yeah.
You know, like you're like we think we're here, but we're not actually here.
Right.
This is not actually who we are and what we are.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that true essence that you could see in the Cicado, you know, you could see that he was yearning and burning to get back to that true essence.
Hmm.
What do you feel like ultimately strips us, or not strips us, but I guess brings us away from it? You know, maybe things in society, or maybe just distractions, or the things that bring us away from that true essence. And what do you feel calls us back? Like, what will get
Hmm.
us back to that true essence that we are?
Yeah. Beautiful question. What creates that separation, I would say, is, or the illusion of that separation really,
Mm,
is like you said, society, right? And the programming from a young age. And there's so many things in this world, in this reality, just calling for our attention.
mhm,
And depending on what it is, that can bring us to a completely different space, completely different reality, whatever we fix our attention on, and that becomes our truth, and over time, whatever the collection of those truths are, that really shapes how we see the world, how we
mhm,
perceive, and how we really move through it because of that perception. So I would say that creates it, the programming
mhm,
and all of the things grabbing for our attention.
mhm,
And the way home, like you so beautifully stated, is having less things
mhm,
that we're paying attention to. It's really that inward journey back to isolation, or solitude. I really love the word solitude more.
mhm,
So solitude and stillness and
mhm.
silence and prayer. And I feel it can look, very different for everyone. You just have to really, I experimented with so many different things, to finally realize, or like at this point, to realize the things that work best for me as far as I know right now, and for me it's
Yeah,
journaling, it's breathing
yeah.
consciously, it's affirmations,
Mhm,
it's grounding, it's getting up at sunrise and sun gazing,
mhm.
it's being in nature, it's all these collection of things that I realize like just work for me.
Yeah.
So, and in all of that, really it's just like the silence that's taking place. It doesn't matter if you're doing an activity, but how present are you with whatever you're doing?
Mhm.
Just that presence and that coming back to the now, or returning to the now, that is what returns you home. Because really, like, it's like that statement, home is where the heart is. So
Mhm.
if we're just here with this heart,
Mhm.
and the breath, in this moment, like, we're home, because here in this moment everything is perfect.
Yeah.
But all the thoughts and all the things created externally can make it seem imperfect, when that's all truly an illusion. It's very real in this reality, but it's also just lights,
Yeah.
illusion.
Yes. Oh man, what a reflection, you know, just to have the connection. I love this.
Yes,
I love this.
yes.
He said home in the heart, right?
Hmm.
Right from the
Right
start, you
from the
know?
start. Ooh. Yeah.
You are the light in the dark, you know?
Yes,
Just I
yes.
love this.
Yeah.
So, brother, when you're talking about, just to understand, because you've heard it so many times, it's almost cliche. We've heard it throughout time, throughout history, how, finding that solace in solitude, how, we let go of all illness when we
Hmm.
reside in our stillness, and we let go of all violence when
Mm.
we're embracing
The
the silence. You
silence.
know? You choose that.
Yeah.
So, we can find a lot of production through reduction. It's almost like a
Hmm.
paradox. It's a
It
paradox.
certainly is. It
Yeah, yeah.
certainly is.
So it's like the best, one of the best forms of action is subtraction,
Mm.
like reducing. How can we hack away at the non-essential? Like, okay, I don't need this. I don't need this. We can receive a lot more when we relieve a lot more,
Yes.
you know?
That reminds me of one of the verses in the Tao. It's like the master does nothing, but yet leaves nothing undone. It's true paradox, you know? And essentially what it's saying is like there's not so much like doing or like striving for necessarily.
Mhm.
And how I see it is just like taking those aligned actions, those inspired actions.
Mhm.
So nothing that is needed to be done will ever be left undone because
Mhm.
it will always get done, you know? And just sitting in that knownness, that knowingness. Um, I think that's what it's saying. That's how it speaks to me at
For
least.
sure.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. It will always get done,
Yeah.
you know,
Always.
always. And, especially with that attitude and having that gratitude,
Mm,
just to understand it will always get done, no matter what, come what
yeah.
may, it will
Yeah.
always get done.
Yes.
Speaking of Lao Tzu,
Hmm.
Lao Tzu, brother, brother Bliss, the Tao Te Ching, like that was one of the books that revolutionized my whole life, that
Mm.
really just blew my mind. It blew me out the water when it came to how simple yet profound the concepts were, just
Yes.
to understand, he said the way forward seems to go back, you
Mm.
know
Hmm.
he's
Hmm.
like he's like the straight path, it seems
Yeah.
crooked,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know
Yeah. 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 What do you say? The the wisest conversations seem
yeah,
foolish.
yeah.
Something
I
along the
love.
lines of that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
So
sure,
the
man.
the Tao Te Ching, when you're reading that book, and by the way, you're reading all of these books while you're in, well, someone would say you're incarcerated, like you're being held,
Mm.
you're being held, and they're being held. Everyone's being held together
Mm.
during the time where, you were in transition for those 42 days. You said
Mm.
not only did you do meditation, not
Mm.
only did you, get into relaxation, but you also were in the books. You were heavily in books.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
what were some of the books that you read during that time? Because you said you read more
Yeah.
novels during this time than you had ever read before.
Yeah. They were just novels, you know, they were all novels. And I think they were taking me into a different world. There was one with a woman. She was, I believe, she was an FBI agent. And she was after this sniper or something like that. And then another one was Odd Thomas.
Hmm.
If you know that story, there's a movie based on it. It's this young kid in a town, and he can see these entities that
Hmm.
come around whenever there's whenever something is gonna go like terribly wrong, and it's usually something like violent that brings a lot of fear. And he starts to notice more and more of them like coming around, and he even has to like pretend not to see them at times, because if they become aware that you can see them,
Hmm.
then they will like harm you in some way. I forget exactly how it goes.
Okay.
But I also watched the movie too, and it was beautiful because I think the movie did justice to what I read the book first.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, it was those are the two I remember. I think I read
Hmm.
about four, but yeah, it was just taking me to another space, and yeah, that was part of it, not letting the outside world like get all my attention, but I was putting my intention on something that I thought or I felt was going to align me with a better experience of the current reality.
Absolutely.
And for me, it was the books at the time,
Yeah. Absolutely. They talk about how, like you said before, Bliss, what we focus on the longest grows the
Yes,
strongest. You know?
yes.
And when you're putting your attention in books, which I feel like books are like modern day, hieroglyphics,
Oh man, there's
we're
such
reading.
portals, bro.
Seriously, they're
Yeah.
portals. They take us places, they take us to so many spaces where we
Mm,
can see so many faces, even in the mind,
yes, yes.
And I mean, I'm an avid reader myself. I love reading since I was young. I've been reading. My mom used to read to me when I was very young. So
Yes.
the bug bit me. She really put that reading bug in me to just constantly, have a burning for learning. But
Yeah.
when it comes to, Malcolm X, I
Mm,
read with the autobiography, he was talking about it was only in prison that,
mm,
his alma mater was books. Like that was his life. And even if it
yeah.
was just like a crack, a sliver of sunlight through the window, and just he's turning the pages and
Yeah.
behind the cell bars, and
Mm,
he got his
mm,
self-education in prison
mm.
and became a whole new person, a whole new being.
Yeah.
Hurricane Carter,
Mm-hmm.
same thing. Like all these people emancipated themselves from
Mm-hmm.
mental slavery
Mm-hmm.
through books.
Books. Mm.
You know,
Woo.
so
Yeah.
it's just amazing just that you tapped in through that time. What do you feel like people underestimate about books? Because I have a quote right here from Frederick Douglass.
Mm.
And, the quote says, once you learn to read, you will be forever free, forever. Now, this is Frederick Douglass.
Right.
Now, this is a man who he was, many people were sold into slavery. He was born in it.
Mm-hmm.
He was born a slave, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is a man who through reading words.
Mm.
If I could I just go off on a tangent just for a little,
Please.
just for a
Please.
second?
Yeah, yeah.
So I read his book, The Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass.
Mm.
Brother, when I read this
I haven't
book,
read that
first
yet.
of all, I got emotional when I was reading this book. Like tears were coming down, but also I had to get a dictionary
Mm.
just for some of the
Yeah.
words, for a lot of the words he was using in this. And he was from another
Yes.
time, and I had to look up. I was like, dang, what does that mean? Okay,
Right.
dang, what does that mean? Let me you
Yeah.
know and when he said how he learned how to read, it was like we say there's no coincidences, right? Like everything is in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
But there was there was a lady, like one of the slave masters, one of his mistresses, or a lady that was there at the home on the plantation.
Mm.
She was teaching Frederick Douglass how to read. She was teaching Fred how to read.
Wow.
And the slave master caught wind of her
Mm.
teaching him how to read. And
Mm-hmm.
he got so angry, Bliss. He blew up. He was so angry, like the veins were pulsing in his face. He was like, don't you
Yeah.
dare. If he learns how to read, he's no good to me. A
Mm.
slave that understands how to read, that knows how to read words, is no good to me. He'll be no good to me.
Right.
Like, don't you ever again, right?
Mm.
When he saw the reaction of the slave master saying that to his mistress, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said, it is now imperative that I learn how to. If he was that afraid of me learning
Yeah.
this, I must learn.
Must.
I must
Must.
learn, right? This
Yeah.
is that
Yeah.
his all of his focus and his attention went into that area.
Mm.
And he said he will, like, for the rest of his life, he devoted, if it was just a
Mm.
newspaper that was
Mm.
scribbled up and crumpled up on the side, he would just uncrumple it and read the
And read
words.
it.
He would trade things with little kids in the neighborhood just for the books that they had to read the word, like for them to teach him more
Yeah.
words for him to read it. Every waking moment
Yeah.
became spending, like fantasizing about the next time he could get into a room under a candlelight, under the moonlight, to try and read more words. And then he
Mm.
eventually, you know, he learned a trade that he bought his freedom, and then got sold back, and then lost his freedom, and then got
Mm.
his freedom
Mm.
again, and then became the
Mm.
great emancipator,
Mm.
right? In a
Mm.
time when he was born into slavery, and he attributes all of
To
this
read.
to books,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
Like at any point in time, anything could have gone wrong at any point in time, but you know, he
Mm-hmm.
freed his
Mm-hmm.
mind. So I just, what,
Yeah.
like, how does it feel for you when you think about this? Because one of my friends, he's like, people were killed, people were beaten,
Mm-hmm.
people were whipped just for knowing how to read.
Yeah.
And now a lot of people won't read to save their
Right.
lives. We won't read to save our lives
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. Yeah. I always have something I'm reading, man.
Okay.
And thank you for sharing that, by the way, because
Absolutely.
that's beautiful. I didn't know. I haven't read his autobiography or really tapped into the story of his life that much, you know. So that was beautiful to actually hear that. And yeah, being freed and then going back in and then freeing himself again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a journey, which takes strength. And I agree, you know, you'll forever be freed because as you were speaking, it made me think of words create worlds,
Mm,
but also something I heard once is like words give you access. Because if someone's having a conversation and they're saying things you don't know, that's a whole world that you don't have access to because you're unable to really comprehend what they're talking about. You know, for me, I look at it as like somebody talking about cars. I know nothing about cars. When they start talking about this, I'm like, cars. All I hear is cars. Just that's cool. You know, I appreciate cars, like, you know, but that's how I look at it. It's like access to that world. And because you have access to that world now, it just expands your reality. You can
mm,
dive into that world like fully. So I think it's so important to read, and really through reading, what you're doing is you're experiencing more of what is possible.
mm,
Because usually a book is someone else's account of their reality,
mm,
the reality that they've experienced, or they're sharing the reality of someone else, but usually it's a reality that has already been experienced or something like that that's being
mm.
shared. So through going into that, now you're able to expand, and there's to get into the infinite field of more possibilities. Really, that's what it is. So I definitely agree with that. Like reading is so key, you know, and truly, I would say pay attention to what you're reading too, and
Mm,
how it's making you feel, what kind of vibration it's putting you
mm.
into. You know, that's also important. I love reading, man. I'm always reading something, and I've kind of gotten into this habit of having like two or three books that I'm reading simultaneously. You know, it's been beautiful. But yeah, right now this is the one I'm currently reading. It's
Awesome.
The True Power of Water.
True power of water.
Yeah, it's by the Japanese scientist by the name of Dr. Emoto.
Ah,
And you know, I don't know if you've ever seen his work, what he does with water, and this experiment with putting certain words or intentions on bottles of water
mm,
and then freezing that water and looking at them underneath a microscope. And when you saw the molecular structure of the words that had more positive vibrations like love or gratitude versus the ones that said like I hate you or you're foolish, completely different. Like the positive ones look like beautiful snowflakes. They form these like hexagonal
mm.
shapes. Actually, they have images in here I want to show you. And then
Yeah,
the words like, oh, like perfect. It's like something like this is from a
yeah.
positive word. What does that say? Oh, water labeled love and gratitude.
I just took a screenshot. I love that.
Man, you know, and then something like I hate you just looks like sauce thrown on a wall. It's like, you
Yeah.
know, and how I've been using this because I've known about Dr. Emoto for years now, but I
Mm,
never really truly tapped into his book. And then I just stumbled across a book sale and got it for $2, like, you know, a couple of weeks ago. Um, yeah, but I've been using like his teachings in my workshops with affirmations because we are water.
mm,
And if our words, our intention, the energy we're projecting affects water in that way, like water inside like this bottle. This is why I always speak love into whatever I'm drinking or even when I'm showering now. And he goes much deeper into it, but there's so much to it.
mm.
One that I'm really fascinated by was there was I don't know if he was a preacher, but it was someone who was praying, and he did this a few times at a body of water in Japan, a dam. It's a dam in Japan. Maybe it's like Fukushima or something like this.
Okay.
And the water was looking cloudy and dirty.
Mm,
And he prayed for about an hour and a half and just spoke love into the water.
mm.
And by the time he was done, the water was clearing up. It was no longer dirty and cloudy. And there's like more, you know, like instances of this like happening. And like this book is just like, whoa. And then he gets into like intentional living where
Yeah.
like I never even thought of this. Like the moisture in the air
Yeah.
is taking that vibration. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, the moisture in the air too. And really it's just like, yes, it's all of reality is shaped by what we're projecting. Not only what we're speaking, he does say that speaking though, causing that vibration that you can hear
Mhm.
is much more powerful, but also what you're thinking
Mm.
is sending out a vibration as well, and it definitely does have an impact.
Mhm.
But it's been such a beautiful journey to get gain deeper insight on it, and it's making me even more intentional with how I'm moving through reality. It's been beautiful. So
Sure.
reading is just read, man, and read things that are aligned with the version of yourself that you're
Mhm.
becoming.
I agree, brother. Wholeheartedly. This is tremendous because it's understanding, like you said, what we have access to.
Hmm.
When you have access, it's like you see a little bit more, you see a little bit more, and it's like the fog opens up and you
Yes.
see a little bit more, and it just gives you more of your vision, and you tap more into the intuition. You see more, like you can be more on mission, you know?
Hmm.
It's
Yeah,
like
it all comes into fruition.
yes, there you go. So, brother, what
Yes.
a revelation. Seriously, the true power of water, Dr. Masaru Emoto, the experiments,
Yes.
and just to have that understanding that we're surrounded by water. Like you said, the moisture is in the
It's in the air.
air. We're It's in the air, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
We're like fish that don't know we're in
Right.
water. We're surrounded by
We've
water.
only gone from one body of water to the next.
Mm.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure. So to speak to yourself that way, to have that affirmation and to place that vibration in your water
Yes.
and to have that effect on your water, just like, it connects with the water of life.
Mm.
You learn as well, like when I've been dry fasting in the past,
Yes.
I've definitely felt more of a connection with the water, the moisture in the air. My body
Mm.
definitely becomes more sensitive, more heightened, and more aware of what is in the air, what has always been there, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like you become more attuned and you give room to everything in that space.
Yeah.
And man, it's awesome to understand that and just to realize that through our words, we create miracles. Like we can really, a lady put it to me like this. She said, words are wands and wishes and wants. Whatever we
Yes.
speak, it shall be. And
Yes.
that the words
Yes.
I am, she said, I am is like intention, action, manifestation. And whatever you
Intention,
put after
action,
those words,
manifestation.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
intention, action, manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
He said, whatever you put after those two little words, I am, for
Mm-hmm.
better or worse, right?
Mm-hmm.
You will become it for better or worse. It doesn't matter. I, I'm I'm bad at. Oh, could you repeat that? I'm bad at names,
Mm-hmm.
right?
It's a spell.
I'm so bad at names. Could you repeat that real quick? I forgot. You know, like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm really bad at directions. You don't want to ask me. You probably want to go, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I used to say I'm bad at math. I'm terrible at math.
Mm.
It's like my worst
Mm.
subject. And I had to spend years and years of extra tutoring, staying after
Mm.
class, doing this. And, I flunked 10th grade just because I failed math class, you
Mm.
know? But it
Mm-hmm.
was what I said, it was my words,
Yeah.
I would speak it
Yeah.
so often.
Yeah.
So with that intention, that action, and that manifestation,
Mm-hmm.
brother, you have an intention. There's a retreat coming up. It's a
Yeah.
spring, what,
Yes. Spring
equinox.
equinox renewal retreat.
Can you talk
Yes. Yeah.
about that? Can you
Yeah.
talk about the
Beautiful.
intention?
Thank you for
Yeah.
asking. Yeah. The intention is right there in the name of it. It's renewal. The spring equinox is the time where daylight and night come to a balance
Mm,
before we go into summer. So there's more light and things are coming back to life after this winter period.
mm,
So really and the intention is coming together, connect deeper with nature, get into some heart opening experiences and unplug from all the noise for a little bit, the matrix,
mm.
and really just spend time around others who have the same intention
Yeah.
and share. Just share and grow more, but leave, like, I want everyone who comes to leave feeling like a deep sense of renewal, like they've walked away feeling refreshed, rejuvenated, like just a new love for life in a new way.
Mm,
And we have some beautiful things lined up. The other two facilitators, the Abu Shadi and Aura, Oh man, and there are some beautiful beings who I've met both in New York,
Okay.
but at separate times. Aura actually over this past summer when I visited New York,
Okay.
and Abu Shadi at a retreat in New
Mm.
York. Like that's when I met him in flesh, but we connected on Instagram
Yeah.
before that. So it's just beautiful, this alignment, and I've had the intention for maybe a year now
Mhm.
to facilitate in a retreat. And I thought about it being in Costa Rica,
Okay.
but I had never imagined I would be hosting it. I just thought I would be, going to one and like facilitating and sharing, but it just aligned so beautifully. Like I was inspired to reach out to Aura because she had just moved to Costa
Mm.
Rica. They both live in Costa Rica now, by the way. I met them in New York at separate times, and they both live in Costa Rica.
Mm.
And so the place where we're going to be is somewhere that I passed through along my journey in Costa Rica. So it's going to be a returning home, really, because a new me was birthed in this place, truly, or through that entire experience of Costa Rica. So I haven't returned since. I was actually like banned for 5 years,
Mm.
but
Wow.
now it feels so great to be returning there
Mm.
and bringing this for others to really just tap into the awesomeness of the nature that's there. Returning to your question that you had asked, like why Costa Rica, what made me go there, like some of the things that I really loved about there was like 70% of the land out there is untouched.
Mm.
70% is just nature. 70%, that's a huge number.
Yeah.
And that was one of the like highlights. And then like all of their energy is completely renewable. So just knowing those, it's a beautiful place, beautiful
Abs-
place, beautiful
Absolutely.
place.
Great
We're gonna
location. Yeah.
great location, man. We're gonna be it's a rural area, in the middle of the jungle,
Mhm.
really, on 200 acres of land with three waterfalls. There's room to camp in tents if you like, or you can stay in a shared cabin or a private cabin
Mhm.
and just come and eat healthy and just be for a little while and dive into really what we're bringing, what I'm bringing, and the other two facilitators, along with some other special appearances. Is just our life and our experience, really, and just sharing it. And we're all coming together to really share. And I think that's why we're all here to
Yeah.
share, to share. And through sharing, that's how community is built and just grows stronger and stronger.
Absolutely. This is the message. This
Hmm.
is the message.
This is the message.
Sharing is
Yes,
caring.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
For sure, for sure. So, we have a question about because I've met Abishadi as well. Shout out to Abishadi, great
Woo!
musician,
I'm
great,
shoddy.
great brother,
Yes,
great energy.
absolutely.
I was in New Jersey when I met him,
Okay.
and yeah, he's an awesome, awesome individual, and I'm sure that Aurora is as
Yes.
well. And there's a question Eva's asking, all skin tones are welcome. I don't know why she asked that, but
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. We're actually yeah.
yeah, I
All
mean,
are.
I don't see why
Yeah.
not. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
definitely
check out
don't.
the flyer,
Yeah, right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Check out the flyer. You'll see, you'll see. But
Yeah.
yes, yes. Everyone's welcome. It's even welcome to children. In
Okay.
fact, it's family friendly. So we do have one spot remaining for the early bird special.
Okay.
10 spots total
Mm,
remaining, but
mm.
one more spot for the early bird special, which gets you 15% off. So
Beautiful.
yeah.
Beautiful. And there's a website or a place for people to go to
Not
receive that
for this one. This one's kind of grassroots, so just reach out to us directly. Hmm.
direct. Okay. So people should just come to your Instagram, just go to
Yes,
bliss.embodiment.
sir.
Okay.
And DM me, and yeah, let's have a conversation about it. If there's anything else that you would like to know, feel free to ask. Or Aura or Abu Shadi.
Beautiful. Yeah, she's saying some people don't roll like that. Simply clear. Well, yeah, I'm glad you clarified.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, that's yeah. I definitely understood when you asked. And that's a beautiful thing about just the journey, because at one point I found myself like only wanting to be around those who kind of looked like me.
Mm,
And I quickly realized that that was keeping me separated from just a lot of the world. So I traversed through that, and I came to realize like that was not my energy
mm,
at all. And I didn't like the way I felt moving in that energy. So I started to just embody just complete love, you know, and like seeing actually beyond that, like going around again to the true essence, you know. So yeah, that's what I tap into.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a great, time just to tap in with you today,
Yes, it
brother.
has,
You
man.
know, I have so many more questions. We got to
Yeah,
do another one.
yeah,
We
yeah. I'm
we got to do a
part
round
two.
two.
Let's do it.
We got to do a round
Yo,
two,
I
brother.
love the balloons. I did not know you can do that. That's funny.
So we'll
Yeah,
we'll make this happen again, and just congratulations on everything, just all your endeavors.
thank
You're
you.
bringing people together,
Mm,
and just letting them see, their brilliance, let them tap into their resilience, and
mm,
just understand, their greatness,
yeah,
brother.
yeah.
You know?
That's my intention. I love creating space for others to recognize their uniqueness and share their voice. So, thank
Yeah.
you, and thank you for also being a reflection of that. You know, for extending the invitation for me to come on here and just share what I do. Yeah, I truly, truly appreciate it, brother.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, bro.
You as well. Thank you.
All
Much
right.
love.
Much love.